What's up with your butt up? What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to your favorite with your messy self story time. Today we're gonna be talking about a little something storyous. Debate me if you want to. Actually, don't. Opinions, everyone has them. Say booty hoes. As long as you don't go low, cause I will go lower. Okay, let's keep it respectful. For those of y'all that have been with me for a minute, Homeschooling Nikki, y'all, I have my series called Tell It Like It Is, and let me tell you something, I did not hold back. I think that's what y'all need. I think that's what y'all need from me. You let me know if I'm reading this wrong. You let me know if I'm misunderstanding. We're gonna be talking about a little bit of a controversial subject because honestly, I feel like the gall, the audacity, like every single time I get this question. So, when are your kids gonna go to school? I'm gonna come right up the street and say it. I don't feel comfortable with my kids going to school right now. It need not even be said. That is how obvious it is. Also, there are like the other factors as well. I think that, you know, my sister-in-law is a teacher. I feel like they are expected to play a lot of roles. You guys that are teachers are gems of the earth. I feel like, and I've always felt this way. Even when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a teacher. Then I realized I didn't have the patience. Your place in this world affects generations. It's a very big role. And it's something that should be taken seriously, but also be appreciated. Seriously, our teachers don't make enough money. They don't make a living wage. And a lot of the times they don't get paid enough for this, that, and the third. Hard to have passion for, you know, your passion when you can't even make a living wage or you are having a hard time making a difference because you're just trying to make ends meet and like the ratios are off. There's so many issues. One of the responses or the rebuttals, if you will, to this conversation is, well, we went to school. And things weren't perfect when we were in school. There was, you know, scary stuff going on. Is it at the scale of which it's happening now? No. Any of you guys that are in the same position that my husband and I are in or are about to be in this position when it comes to considering schooling for your kids and what's the best thing to do, I think that all things should be considered. And if you haven't heard a story like mine, well, maybe it should be taken into consideration. Grab your wine, grab your snacks, everything you need, and because I got something deep to tell y'all. So I have a teacher, and I believe that this was the first year that our school was introducing our grade to having more than one teacher to prep us for middle school and having different subjects and different classes, right? We were in one of those like trailer classrooms, and there was another teacher right across the little hallway in the trailer classrooms, and we're gonna call him Mr. Stone. So Mr. Stone was our everyday math teacher. Our regular everyday teacher, we'll call her Mrs. Wright, okay? So Mr. Stone and Mrs. Wright, how about that? And Mrs. Wright would become the math teacher for his class. They just switched us for math class only. So every day we had to go over to Mr. Stone's side of the class. Okay, we start off strong, okay? I'm acing every one of my intro exams. I am raising my hand for every question. I am very involved. My teacher loves it, loves the involvement, loves the participation, loves it, okay? Everything's going according to plan. Until one day comes around. Girl, I ain't even gonna lie, her name was Daniela. Her arrival at this school switched up everything for your girl. Like I had never witnessed anything like this before. The whole world stops, right? Everybody wants to be a friend, including myself. And like, she's just so mysterious and everything like that. You know, we're kids. I knew why she was being favored, okay? Because your girl had all kinds of problems, all right? Like I was in speech therapy. I had a lisp. I had glasses. Like your girl was hairy. Like I was awkward. But I was really, really good at school. I was always the top scorer, okay? I'm not still upset about it. Daniela, not so much. She definitely didn't make the highest grades, but like my teacher would like give her extra credit points and stuff. And so it's like she would be, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, it was so annoying. The entire year is like this. And it's like the second part of the year. It starts getting hot outside. You know, we had come back from a pretty long break. And I swear as soon as we came back, nothing was ever the same. It was so different. We legitimately, eye to eye contact. We legitimately stopped learning anything. Who here has heard of SpongeBob? Of course, we all heard of SpongeBob, of course. Move all of the desks out of the way. Let's all, you know, be on the floor and watch SpongeBob. We had a full SpongeBob day. No homework, no lessons, no going over nothing, like nothing. We were watching SpongeBob all day and it was the best day ever. And I, like, for the first time in a while, I like enjoyed being at school. And I was like, okay, like this is great. Of course, you know, all good things got to come to an end. So the next day we're like, you know, we come to school, we're ready to learn. And here goes Mrs. Wright All right, you guys, you already know. Go ahead and push the desk to the side and let's put on SpongeBob. We'd go to lunch, we'd come back, watch some more SpongeBob until the end of the day. When nobody complaining. Nobody was complaining. It got to the point, y'all, that we were all bringing snacks and popcorn every single day because we knew that we were going to be watching SpongeBob. I am not exaggerating when I tell you it was all day. We were going through seasons like nothing. The entire time that we were watching SpongeBob in the beginning, our teacher was just chilling at her desk. She would leave every now and then, go to the bathroom or whatever. We didn't really notice. And then she'd come back in, no big deal. Rest of the day, nobody was complaining. It was the best time at school. So fast forward some time, and because we're like out there in those trailer classrooms, you can kind of hear everything echo. And we could hear the kids in Mr. Stone's class like actually learning, like they were like reciting things. We kept going to Mr. Stone's class and actually learning math, and then going back into Mrs. Wright's class and like going back to SpongeBob. And you know, he was doing his own thing. Mrs. Wright must have talked to Mr. Stone, because all of a sudden, his class was coming into our class and we all watched SpongeBob together. I don't even remember how many of us were in each class, but it was quite a few of us. Now here's where the issue started coming into play. I didn't like Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone, I didn't understand why. Now that I'm an adult, I understand why. Because I came from a single parent home, I had to, you know, apply for reduced lunches or free lunches, and they would split you up in the cafeteria based off of that. They would split you up, you know, like you would have to go first. I got free speech therapy because, you know, I came from like low income. So like everything was separate and everybody knew why. And Mr. Stone, he would get so pissed every single time my speech therapy teacher had to come and interrupt just very quickly to get me out. I only had to go for like 30 minutes out of the day. We also had to go, and I remember, you know, in the cafeteria, we had to go in separate lines, and like, you know, the free lunch kids, we were all together. If you know, you know. I remember Mr. Stone like outwardly talking to his teachers in their own little corner, and like, I just don't understand why they get special treatment. Like they get to go first just because they're low income. You know, I was so young, I didn't understand like what exactly he meant by that. But anyways, girl, he was definitely bothered by my existence and anybody like me, okay? It's very evident. Mr. Stone's at the back of the class. He had a desk over there, and something comes up and he's like, hey, we need to go, and you know, we need to run down to the office. Who wants to go? And everybody's arm shoots up, you know, everybody wants to go and like roam the hallways. And of course, like clockwork, he picks Daniela, okay? And for some reason, they have to like, it's a buddy system when they go to the office. So Daniela gets to pick a friend. Again, everybody's hand goes up. She definitely does not pick me. She picks somebody else. And so these two girls, they get up, they take whatever, and they head out to the office, right? And I like had FOMO, bro. Like, I don't know why it's so strong. I was like, I never get picked. So tired of not getting picked. And just something in me, I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to be told no more. Like, I want to go. So I get up and I go to Mr. Stone and I'm like, hey, I really need to go to the bathroom. And he was like, well, I only have one pass. And I was like, well, I really need to go. And he was like, make it quick. So, you know, I take off. Girl, I take off. I catch up with the girls, right? And finally, you know, I just want to belong. I just want to chill with them for a little bit. So I start walking with them, and, you know, we walk from the outside trailers to the inside of the actual main school. So it's kind of a little bit of a walk, and I catch up with them, and Daniela's like, oh my God, like they let you come? And I was like, yeah, you know, he said that you might need some extra help. And like, I didn't want to tell him that like I was out there on some falsities, bitch. I didn't want to like, I was embarrassed. So I was like, yeah, he gave me permission to come with y'all. I'm cool, like y'all, you know? So we go inside, I go to the office, and like the office ladies were always so nice. They would like give out candy, and then they got to go to the nurse and like same thing. So that's why I wanted to roll with them, like for the free goodies, you know what I'm saying? Because they would always come back and have like, you know, some stuff. Y'all, we go, you know, to the different areas, and there was this damn guidance counselor or something like that. I'm pretty positive she was a counselor, girl. But anyways, her profession was nosy. All of the office ladies and everybody got accustomed to seeing Daniela and her little funky friends. And so like, that was how often she got chosen, right? So they would be like, oh, hey, Daniela, la, 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 right? And this counselor lady or whatever, she comes out and she like looks at all three of us, and she was like, since when does it take three of you to be here? Your teacher said that this was okay. And y'all, my heart starts beating so fast. And we're like, yeah. And then here goes Daniela's big mouth ass. Well, my teacher said that me and her could go, but after we left, Nikki said that he gave her special permission to come with us. So yeah, we have permission. why are you giving all that information? Like, just say yes and shut up. Counselor zooms in on me and she's like, you got permission to come with them? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And she was like, huh, weird. Wait right there. Why did she call Mr. Stone? Y'all, why did she call Mr. Stone? Oh my God, you guys, she walks me back to my class and it is mayhem. Okay, I don't know if Mr. Stone tried to like get everybody up off the floor, but there was like backpacks, there was like blankets, there was snacks all over the floor. Like some kids were sitting in their desk, other kids weren't. Like there was nothing on the TV. It seemed like he was like just trying to like pretend that what was happening wasn't happening. And here comes this lady with me walking me back to the class. All of a sudden this lady was like, Mr. Stone, can I talk to you for a minute? Y'all, I go in there, I sit down, they take off. They're like standing outside of the door having their own conversation. And I just know in my heart that Mr. Stone got in trouble. Like all of this looked very suspect. It just did not look right. Just randomly, all of a sudden we start getting knocks at the door. It's just random people from staff and administrative, like counselors, sometimes the assistant principal, just stopping by, just peeking in. My teachers started getting caught red-handed. Girl, there were times that we were like watching SpongeBob and it's like so dark in there and we would see just a bright light beaming in because somebody opened the door and it would be like somebody like the vice principal or one of the counselors and like they would just open the door and see all of us on the floor watching SpongeBob. They wouldn't say anything. Some of us would be like, hi, like, just waving at them and they would just shut the door, not say anything. And like none of us knew what was happening, girl. And he gave me an F for the first time in my life and told me, it's okay, don't worry about it too much. You're just a degenerate that will never amount to nothing anyway. And he just fucking handed me my paper back. And it was the first time that I had ever been told that. And I literally went home to go and look up that word and look up what it meant. And it broke my heart. And I had never had that kind of experience with a teacher. And so I felt, I was so like, girl, I was crushed. My own teacher, Mrs. Wright, like had very little patience with me. And like they both just started being very, very cold to me. And like, but Mr. Stone especially would just say some off the wall shit to me. And that was one of them. I got in school suspension for the first time. It was the worst school year that I had ever experienced, right? Fast forward, y'all. And like end of year comes around and parent teacher conferences and all that. Y'all, this was the first time that I was afraid for my mom to come and speak to my teacher. I had always been so confident. This was the first time. So the day comes around, my mom comes to the school. They have all of the teachers, in the auditorium or whatever. And my mom had a thing or two and a thing or two to say because even my mom noticed that my grades were dropping. I was coming home with Fs. Then I got ISS. Like my mom saw that there was a lot going on and she wanted some answers. And immediately the vibe, girl, my teacher just looks at me and looks at my mom. And Mrs. Wright, she was blunt and she was very forthcoming and like she didn't have a problem speaking her mind. And typically, especially among the other teachers, like she was a very bold person. But Mama Glamour, girl, she wasn't no match. The conversation goes on as normal and my mom lets, my teacher give her the progress report or whatever. How did Nikki go from straight A's to having these issues? Like, what have you done as her teacher to, help her get back on track? I haven't received any letters at home stating that she needed additional help or tutoring. I know that I'm really involved in my child's academics and I brought her here. I've given y'all her school record. She's always been a top student at every school that she's gone to until here. So I just want to know if you can give me some insight into that. Y'all, my mom's voice was reverberating off of the walls of that house. My teacher ends up getting out of her chair. My mom ends up getting out of her chair. And like other administrative peeps were coming up to them. And my mom was like, no. I was so embarrassed and everybody's looking at us. So my mom was like, it's okay. I'm going to be meeting with the principal first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, y'all better cancel all his meetings because I'm coming through. Come on, mija. So we storm out, right? We storm out and we, go through the hallways and we get to the front of the school. And as soon as we walk out, girl, like 2-3 parents end up running after my mom. My mom turns to my grandma and goes, get Mija home. Cause like they came in separate cars and my grandma was like, okay. My mom stays there and talks to these other parents, right? She came home later that night with the hottest tea. And I was always there for it, okay? So apparently those parents that had come out to talk to my mom told her everything about what our days at school were looking like. Apparently their kids were coming home and they were like, Mom, Dad, you know, like their parents are asking them, what did you do today? And they're like, SpongeBob. And it's like that every single day. So these parents like told my mom, yeah, you know, we've had complaints. We've been trying to figure out what's going on. Like all of our kids are saying the same thing. You know, if you're going to meet with the principal tomorrow, we want to be there. Meanwhile, I still got to go to school. I still got to have a regular day. So instead of just like going to work, my mom takes off of work. She takes me to school. And we get out the car and she said, bye, I love you. And I was like, I can't come. I don't know what I thought. I was like, I can't come with you. And she said, no. She said, you need to let grown folks handle grown folk business. Go to your class and handle your business, which is school. Girl, I start seeing other parents and girl, I just know, and I have to go to my class knowing that all hell is close to breaking loose. I mean, it is happening now. Meanwhile, y'all, my teacher's completely oblivious. Girl, like the minute I walked into class, I looked at Mrs. Wright and she's like, good morning, class, like greeting everyone. And I was like, girl, you have no idea what's brewing. My mom comes and gets me and was like, come on, mija, we have an appointment. It ain't like you learning much here anyway. So I get up, so I'm like grabbing my stuff and I'm like, okay. And my mom will not take her eyes off of Mrs. Wright. Like she was like, say something, question me in the slightest, and see what happens. Like all of that was said without being said. Start packing up my stuff real fast and like everybody is waiting on me and everybody is like holding their breath and I'm like, oh my God, right? So I go with my mom and we walk out to the car. My mom don't say nothing. And the first place that we go is my grandma's house. Y'all, my mom sits down at that table and all of a sudden my mom starts going off and telling my grandma everything about the meeting with the principal, right? And I am right there for all of it. Well, turns out, girl, had been like an open investigation between Mr. Stone and Mrs. Wright. And that's why like other administrators and counselors were just like stopping by our classrooms just randomly throughout the day. Like they got a whiff that something was going on. Girl, turns out that they were having an affair, bish. Yes. Close. Now remember, this is so close to the end of the year, okay? And like the school is just now finding this all out about Mr. Stone and Mrs. Wright. Apparently, when Mr. Stone and Mrs. Wright would have both of our classes together and watching SpongeBob all day, they were in the other person's classroom doing some things. And both of them were married with kids on nasty. And both of them were married. The person that even got the investigation started in the first place, inadvertently, might I add, Mr. Stone really hated me because, you know, I was cock blocking. And I didn't even know. I had no idea. And he really was like, wow, you just really ruined getting booty for me at my place of business trying to teach children. And Mr. Stone especially said some off-the-wall, terrible, hurtful things to me that affected me for a long time after that. And that is one issue that I don't feel like gets talked about enough. And it's not just about the safety issue and it's not just about the pay issue and it's not just about the ratio issue. It is also about having individuals in these roles that are not created for it, that don't have a passion for it and can affect your children with just simply by their words and can literally prophesy things over your kids by speaking unto them. You will never amount to anything, you degenerate. Like though, for me to find out what that meant for the first time because of my teacher, girl, all because he wanted to do his pendejadas and be cochino at his job with my teacher, that was why. Okay, not everybody has the ability, you know, to be at home with their kids and, you know, you got to send your kid to school and I get that. The only thing that you can control personally is building up your children to the point where they are so strong that if and when they come across somebody like I did with Mr. Stone, that they are strong enough in their mind and in their heart and in their spirit to know that that is not true. Cultivate your children and grow your children and speak positive into your kids and remind them of their worth and their value and their rights, how to negate what people tell them when it's negative and to never allow somebody to dictate how they feel about themselves. Speak positivity into your kids every day. And I'm not talking about, oh, you're so beautiful and oh, you're so handsome and oh, you're so smart, you're so wise, you're worthy, you're valued, you matter. Somebody that was entrusted to teach me and grow me, you know, as a student, just completely demolished my self-worth and my self-confidence for his own personal gain, for his own personal selfish reasons. And it affected me nonetheless. So, you know, if a person isn't in the right mind in this position, it's just, you know, speak good to yourself, speak good to your kids, speak love. That is just, you know, a topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you guys have had any experiences like this with your own instructors, with your teachers, or as a teacher yourself, I would love to hear both sides and perspective. Make sure you keep it respectful. I love y'all so much. It's been so awesome to see you guys more consistently over here. Definitely give this video a like if you enjoyed it and you want to hear more like it. And also don't forget to subscribe to be a part of my glam fam. See me every week. Okay, girl? I love y'all so much, but God loves you more, and I will see your fine self in my next video. Peace out, y'all.